In the studio today we have Mrs. Ruth Kiwanuka, who is the CEO of Joint Energy Environment Projects, and this started in 1983.
Yes, founded.
Founded in 1983. I was
Yes.
reading an article where they said there's one that says you founded it, and then there's another one that says you joined it in 1991.
Yeah,
so
I
I'm
never
looking
found
to
I
understand that background.
Oh, when you visit our office, you will see the founder members. They are up on the wall.
Okay.
Yes.
So you started this organization started in 1983.
Yes.
What was the why did it start?
These Ugandans, one was late now, Sylvester Sentamu Makumbi was a journalist. Another one was Mr. Josephat Walulia Mukasa, was a farmer, at the same time working with the prisoners. And a lady, Teddy Muzira, was a nurse. They were somewhere around Jinja, and we are, friends as people usually are. But they used to talk together, looking at things, listening to radio, to television. But what touched them was the news from Ethiopia. Ethiopia in 1982 had a very serious drought. And the news continued coming to Uganda, as from the papers, from the television and radio, that Ethiopians are dying. They have a very serious drought. Trees are all down. Animals dying. The soil is gone. It was so bad. But as themselves, they knew it was all about environment. Seriously, the Ethiopians were working just like we do, using the soil, cutting trees, cooking with firewood, and all that. Ordinary work as we do here. But it came to a serious kind of practice where they had to lose all of that. So, Sylvester, Teddy, and Joseph Walulia thought of how they could help Ugandans not to run into the same problem. And Ethiopia being not very far from Uganda, they said, we may run into this. Why don't we start something? Maybe talking to Ugandans about taking care of the environment, basing on that example. So they came up with a kind of program. Unfortunately, by that time, Uganda had civil wars. So it was so hard for them to gather and talk to people. Anytime they tried, they thought they were also again, kind of...
Some kind of rally.
So they were not able to practice that. But they kept talking, coming up with good ideas. How do we run this and that? Fortunately, they came with a program and they put it in tree. Sylvester was a journalist, so he had many kind of slogans, kind of, communication people, And he said, okay, let's come up with a vision. And their vision was a safe environment for a sure future. A safe environment for a sure future. And they said our mission now should be to stop destruction of the environment. The mission they came up with, stop destructing the environment and promote efficient use of natural resources.
For our listeners who might not be able to see what's on the paper that I'm looking at, this is your 1.5 point program?
Yes, we have a very big banner. I didn't think about it, but that's why I came with this.
That's all right. So the 1.5 program for Uganda Wood Energy Conservation has number one as improve stoves and kitchen energy management in households and institutions.
Exactly. They looked at that problem because almost all Ugandans were using a 3-stone fireplace, both domestically and institutionally. So, like the people in Ethiopia, so they thought the solution now would be to improve on that.
Okay.
So that it could reduce on felling down of trees, cutting of the vegetation, and all that.
So we're going to look at where we are now after we've looked at this 5-point program. How many years later? 2024 now? From 1983.
We are still struggling.
What are these we've done? But let's go one by one. So we've looked at the stoves, and then there's improved wood burning industries.
Number 2, they looked at those small, they call them the small wood burning industries, like bricks making bricks, they use a lot of firewood. In fact, they use even wet wood. So they cut a lot of trees and they put in wet wood thinking they are economizing. Kumbe, they are not economizing because the fire has to dry the wood fast before the fire comes up. And this waraj, brewing waraj, or they use a lot of firewood. Smoking fish, they use wood. So they looked at those small things, practices, practical work there, and wanted to say it could improve. But that one they thought it could be the government to come up with a policy, which policy never came up.
So number 3 is improve charcoal production.
Yes.
What are we improving?
The traditional way of producing charcoal in Uganda and probably many African countries is very, very extravagant. If they cut 10 tons of wood, they come up with only 1 ton of charcoal. A lot of it, the rest is burned to ash. And you can imagine if Martin has a killing of that type, Josephine has, Ruth has, and many others. Can you imagine how many trees are gone? So they thought that one, there could be better killings which would save on wood.
Number 4 is encourage alternative fuel. So briquettes, I see sawdust, I see a number
biogas.
Okay.
And now we have electrical pressure cookers.
I see solar as
well.
Solar,
yes. Usually when somebody is sick and goes to a doctor would say, now I'm giving you aspirin because you have that problem. But the patient would say, oh doctor, when I take aspirin, I get burning kind of things in the stomach. Then the doctor cannot say, go home. The doctor thinks of an alternative and say, Panadol would work. Then the person is happy. So when you tell people, now you are cutting a lot of trees, stop using trees or firewood, they would say, when you have to eat until death, so you give them alternative. They said you have to find alternatives for them to continue cooking and eating, using other kinds of fuels, as mentioned in number 4, for them to continue as the trees grow, as they save on the trees. Yes.
Number 5 is tree planting.
They mentioned that last, because by then, we had a lot of foresting in the country. You were not there, but we had a lot of forests, we had a lot of bushes, everywhere, natural forests like Mabida was all big forests, Bugoma, Zoka in Germany, many. So they could not mention the tree planting. People would just say, And in fact, I remember them telling us that when they went to Busoga, they were saying, hey, but the trees grow themselves, you know, they grow on their own, so you don't need to talk about tree planting. So, but these were basing on the number 1, number 2, number 3, that we are losing a lot of trees because of firewood, because of building, because of so many things, charcoal making, charcoal production and all that. So, as you see, you are losing a lot, then you end up not having. That's why we need to replace what we are cutting. But still we have to cut carefully.
When you think back to 1983, and you're saying there were so many trees, you know, it must have been, you know, something to behold. And you're thinking about where we are now. What are you thinking?
Because I've lived for many years, and I've seen a lot before, and what I'm seeing now is terrible. As Mabira, it was a forest, a real natural forest, and when you reach Mabira, you just smell that's the natural, real scent of the forest. But they started cutting and cutting. In fact, some years back, that lady, Minister of MP, Brice, was trying to demonstrate, to see how they could stop doing that. But I think she didn't succeed. She was stopped. So many forests, Bugoma is getting cleared in Hoima, Zoka in Germany is getting finished, and the security people are there to guard the people destroying, not to catch them and take them to prison, but to guard them that people don't shout and say don't cut our forests. There are so many. National Forest Authority came in. I thought it was going to help because we had a Forest and Meat Department.
That's National Environment Management Authority?
No, National Forest
NFA.
NFA
Yes.
it came in. I thought it was going to help. To my surprise, they were cutting the natural ones and planting the what do you call those which are not natural, like umbrella
Exotic.
trees.
Exotic.
I remember when you going to Ntenjeru, that's Mukono district, there was a very thick forest. To my surprise, I found the umbrella trees planted, and I said, my God. Then they started pine, they started eucalyptus at very large scales, which trees are not, friendly, very friendly with the environment, but it is because they wanted to sell.
Ruth, if I'm a Ugandan who is listening to this and you're saying they cut down the exotic trees and then they were just planting all of these other trees.
Exotic.
Why should I be bothered that those ones were cut down as long as we are planting trees now, right?
Oh my God. They are cutting and planting and cutting to sell. And those species like eucalyptus and pine don't help the soil. Eucalyptus sucks a lot of water in the ground, a lot. And when the leaves fall down, they make a carpet which does not allow water to go down when it rains. They know it. Those people went to school and to universities, and I think some of them have PhDs. But they do that. Not thinking about the environment. What does the soil need? Soil needs water. What do plants need? But it is so hurting. So much as the people in the communities are not very much aware of this climate change, environmental conservation and all that, they do their. But when you talk to them, they try to understand and try to see, because we usually gather people, get local leaders to invite people, and we talk in a classroom or outside, and we discuss the way they are living. How do you cook? What are the problems? How do you go what do you do in agriculture? What do you use? They explain all. And when they talk about cooking, they talk about the open fireplace, which they have seen for years. But when you start showing them and you say, how do you get firewood? And say, now we are buying firewood. How did you get firewood long ago? We used to go to the forest very near us and fetch firewood free of charge. And without even cutting trees, but just picking, something which I also did at home in Mukono, near the District Farm Institute, which is now narrow. But the forest also there is cleared. But we could go there and fetch firewood, just picking from the ground, and take big bundles at home. You see. So those things are not happening. So the people start to realize, oh, we are buying firewood. And you say, how much do you buy? For a 10,000, it's just a day. Can you imagine? Which means if you don't get the 10,000 or 5,000, you will not cook. That's why we encourage alternative sources of food.
How does a school teacher become a climate activist? Because this is what it seems like you are now.
Imagine. When I started, I was a teacher, and JEEP was already existing, but they used to move to different villages. By then I was in Basakaro, Chengera, Mugongo, the school, and somebody told them that there is a lady there. When she talks so well. I think some people, sometimes in the church I could preach, and people would say, oh. Or when I go to the LC meetings, I would explain, but of course I say, hey, this one we take the children to school, we learn this and this, but also at home, and they would. So when JEEP people were working voluntarily, they're trying to see how they move into the program, they invited me. And I accepted because I'm a teacher and I know how to talk to people.
Yes, you do.
So I started voluntarily with JEEP like that, just over weekends. Sometimes Saturday, sometimes Sunday. But the weekdays, school.
What were you telling the people? What were you telling the people?
They had already told me what they want to talk about. want people to know that we can economize on the fuel, we can plant trees, the dangers of the smoke. Then I could just add as using my knowledge. And then later I said, I think I should leave the school. I want to find a job where I continue with my teaching, but getting a little bit more, because the schools used to give us so little money, and I had 5 children. So I joined the JIP. I went for an interview, and I passed, and I was given a place there, and I was given a women mobilizer. Then I was already thinking, so many there are women like me. I wish they could join this. I wish they could come to the meetings, the trainings. So I was so much for women, but environmentally, yes.
I'm going to come back to the women question because it's very important to me as well. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about what your experiences have been, you as an individual, but also JIP, with the work you're doing around the country in environment and in the energy sectors. Some examples of some of your activities.
Yes. One of the things these people came up with was very important. You see the stem of the tree?
Yes.
Awareness.
Awareness.
Which awareness should never stop. Because you might think Josephine, Martin, and others have been to school for a long time, they are very knowledgeable. But when you start creating awareness about the environment, they are like the people in the village.
They know.
They do nothing. Yes. So, with me, when I started with talking to people about awareness about environment, and using the radio or television or just gathering, talking to them, I could notice how badly off people were. The distance from their understanding of the environment and conservation and climate change, it was so big. Even the people who have been to school. So, I have been so concerned about finding which is the best way of informing people about this, because whenever I talk to people, I say, you people, those who saw the war, the people were killed.
I was not
so
there.
Many, people were killed, and the environment continued happily growing and everything becoming green, the trees, the forests, every plant. And I say, but when you don't have this around you, you cannot survive. So you have to struggle and see that we have the environment around us. It has a lot for our life. But I don't know what I call it, disappointment is whenever we planned meeting the top management, the highest management in the country, the top leaders, ministers, members of parliament. In fact, we organized some meetings with members of parliament, thinking that when they get the word, they understand, they'll be able to inform their people.
They'll be ambassadors.
Definitely, because they are educated and they are elected by the people, they are representing them, they are there for them.
They have influence.
They have influence. To our surprise and disappointment, the first meeting we had invited whoever came in would say, is there facilitation? My God. Then I would say, my God, we've been trying to fundraise this money for this project. Now he's asking that. And we tried to put the seminar just near the parliament. And we thought, that is just moving.
Imperial area.
Yeah. Transport. I said, okay, I said we shall discuss after the seminar. Because definitely, and then when you start, then you start seeing many on a phone, talking, even facing the other way.
In the middle of the seminar.
Oh my God. And others just leaving. After signing on paper, he just leave. And I said, these are the people's representatives. In fact, when we talked of these energy-saving stoves, which can save on firewood and all the force, we talk about getting rid of smoke by building a nice stove which is improved, using solar lamp, a small solar lamp instead of tadoba, kerosene lamp, the small tadoba. Then one MP shouts, "Who told you to go to my district without informing me?" In the middle of the seminar. And I said, "Madam, we use the proper routes. We go to the district, we inform them. We go to the sub-counties, we inform them. So we are there rightly. But I'm the MP." Oh my God. I thought she was going to thank Jeep for creating awareness, for training people, and giving them solar lamps to get rid of smoke. No, anyway, those are just a few.
But you've had some good collaboration with no?
With who?
I'll keep that question. What kind of activities are you carrying out in the communities? In the communities.
When we create awareness and we discuss all that about energy and tree planting and soil conservation, water conservation, we say now we have to train people about making this energy saving. So we train people how to make energy saving stoves themselves. And we usually train not more than 35, expecting them to be trainers of trainers, TOTs, yes, to go and make first in their home and then start training other people around. They have tried, but they always say when it has to go far a distance, transport is not easy. So that has retired for many years. The speed has not been as high as we wanted, because definitely they have a lot of domestic work, including agriculture, the cultivation, looking for food, looking for water, and then comes in this energy saving stove construction domestically. So it would be so good that this dissemination of stoves and these other technologies would be far, but those are the problems. Then we talk about tree planting, but we show them how to start a nursery tree plant so that you can get it and have seedlings, you can plant and you can sell.
How receptive are these communities to tree planting? Because tree planting is not something that you're going to benefit from directly.
No, you are right.
Especially if you're thinking about your kinds of trees. Mm-hmm. How are you speaking to farmers to get them interested in it?
When we mention, we are in class discussing, wherever we gather, we sit, we tell them, we have a tree planting formula which says who should plant trees in Uganda. And we want them to answer, discussing with us. And most of them say the government. And we say, now when will government come to Luweero and plant your trees? That's when they start realizing. They say, me. Then they will ask, why should we plant trees really? Can you tell us? Everybody, you can, whether you went to school or not, but you know, because we use the local language. Why is a tree good? Then that's when they will say, for firewood, and they may say for building, for tables. Then we end up having about 30 or 40 purposes of trees. Then you see, if you don't plant a tree, you are losing all that. You want fruits, you want wood, you want firewood, you want, it is important. And if you happen to go to the forest and cut all that, then you are forcing the animals to come to eat your food, because they are in the forest and you are then they come. It has happened in Bugoma Forest, in Hoima, when they started clearing those animals which eat people. They take, like those at Busia, as you go to Busia, what are they? Those animals. They started coming and taking the babies from home and eating the food in the kitchen and everywhere, because they were deleting it, cutting the trees in the forest, which has been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. And the people in leadership who are hired ministries and all that, I'm sure they have heard or learned about the purpose of the trees when they are in the ground, that they can get water when it rains, and they can store water in the ground, and they can release it afterwards, you know. So, you know, we talk about those problems and say, oh, the solution is this. About this, the solution is this, you know.
But I think I see a lot of where your teacher experience comes in, because your conversations with communities is participatory. You're allowing them to really reflect on their problems and think about solutions that make sense for them.
Together. And before we train.
And I think it's easier for people to accept and adapt when they understand how this benefits them or affects them.
Yeah, unfortunately, because we are an NGO, as like many NGOs which are all over in the country. And NGOs are known as the bodies which go down to the grassroots, like I'm saying, much more than the ministries. And we have districts, and district is a government. But when we introduce all this district and they know all about the project and what we are going to do, then we say, but the time we leave, it is you to carry on. And you are free to come when we are training and see what we are doing. And you are free to go back because you have a lot of field work. You see what the people we trained, whether they are moving on or not. They have environmental officers, forest officers, fisheries, energy. All those officers are there, properly paid. And they have vehicles.
Is that happening though, when we're thinking about sustainability of the work that you're doing? That's a very deep sigh.
And when you go back for follow-ups and say, oh, Mr. District Forest Officer, Mr. Environment Officer, Natural Resources Officer, all those people have desks and offices. You have not been to the field to see our work, our people. You should, you know, you give them energy. When you go, they say, this person came and saw my stuff, he saw my trees, he saw my, you know. They say, fuel. Oh. And do you continue with such? Because we cannot fundraise money from donors and you say, we also need fuel for district people. They're not the government. We get so disappointed. I feel terrible.
One of the most recent conversations we're having, and our guest said one of the starting points is going to be a mindset change for people in positions of power. And I think this speaks to you speaking to awareness as well.
Minds. Oh.
Do you have particular interventions that are targeting or speaking directly to women? And, you know, just thinking about how climate change is affecting them and maybe sharing from your own experiences, your lived experiences.
The women are the victims, proper victims of all the changes, whether climate, environment, or it's a war, whatever, the women. And that's why in our programs we always want to have at least 70% of women, because we know they suffer a lot. They are the people taking care of all the domestic work, their home, the children, including the man, the husband, like, you know. Whenever there is a problem, for example, the climate changes, the weather is bad, the food is scarce, it is her who suffers most. The heart because of the children, because of, you know, everything, no water, the children, you know, it is too much for women. Too much for women. In fact, when it comes to building stoves, we thought it could be, a man would become very active, but they say, hey, it is you who was trained. He doesn't even ask it, how do we move on together and we make it? So you can find she's the one who's looking for food, looking for water, fetching firewood, and constructing the stove. Yes?
Why is it difficult for people to understand that when you say, for example, that climate change is affecting women more, why is it a difficult concept for people to wrap their heads around?
I don't understand why I thought it was so obvious, but I don't really understand why they don't see that. Even a man with his wife and children who sees the struggles or the, you know, when it comes to these kind of things, he looks like he doesn't understand that. He doesn't help. But the problem in our countries, I think we started with the countries came into being, and the men came up with funny, horrible, terrible cultural practices which favor men. A woman should be the one cooking. When you say that, she's the one to fetching firewood, cooking, suffering with smoke in the eye and the nose and the lungs, taking, you know, a woman. Cooking is a lot of work, especially in the communities. When you really see. She's using open fireplace. She's looking for firewood. It is a woman and girls who go for fetch firewood. The stove is taking a lot of firewood, so she has to frequent the bush or the forest, whatever, to get firewood. The men, when they say they don't even fetch firewood, when they say you can get firewood for the school and they pay, the money then is not, you know, that one is like a woman. Now he goes because there is money. When one time we invited people in Iruwero, and the men came instead of the women. All men, 35, we said we invited women. They said women are so busy with the domestic work, that's why we came instead of them. So we said, let's move on. We did everything, we trained them how to make this, and we told them the stove we are making now is made of mud and cannot be left in the open air. The rain will spoil it. And many of them did not have kitchens. You know, many communities, people don't have kitchen. They cook outside in there, you know. So these men were the happiest people. They had to go and construct kitchens to put in the stove. And the women were so happy because they got the kitchen and the stove made. And when we went for follow-up, we were so happy because we found many stoves and many kitchens built, and the men could enter the kitchen because it is almost smokeless. So he can sit there. Oh my God. And he explains and he feels so proud because that stove has a hole, has a hole, and another one saucepan first, and then another one, and a chimney. It's that kind of scientific kind of way. The guy would properly explain, you know, when you put here very few pieces of firewood, the man now is in the kitchen. The fire is cooking here, and then some fire goes to the other, and the other pot gets fire, and the smoke goes in the kitchen. It's fun. Anyway.
How did you come from explaining using a tadoba? To where you are now? Maybe explain what a tadoba is first.
A tadoba is a small metal lamp where you put a lick, like a piece of cloth, and you put kerosene at the bottom. Then it lights. It gives very poor light, and it smokes a lot. But when we had just started, the founders told us they had researchers who helped from the ministry, I don't remember where, who found out that the open fireplace, one day, the smoke is equivalent to 8 packets of cigarette. So whenever we mentioned to people, say, oh, we've been smoking. And he said, yes, but we have to improve it. Then tadoba, they said, one tadoba, one night, it smokes, the smoke is equivalent to 2 packets of cigarette. And that's a lot. So those 2 facts, the people started saying, oh, we have to get rid of it. Oh, we can't get rid of it.
We need to get another light source.
A light source. So, but we had already talked to our donors and friends in Denmark, and we told them about this, and of course they know the poverty line of whatever level. Then they said, we can get the solar lamps, small size, and this size, it's like a sunflower
Oh yes, I've seen this.
Yeah.
They're in the shape of a sunflower.
Yes.
They're yellow.
And the company was in electricity company in Olbo, offered to sell more to their products, more money, so that they could get us that, and we sold this cheaply. It was 15,000. That's how we started. And the awareness also we could calculate with people. If you buy kerosene for a week, how much? For a month, how much? For a year, how much? But whenever you ask the women, how much kerosene do you use? No, I don't know. My husband leaves 500 there, or I'm sorry, that for fuel, for kerosene. So we calculated with them. 500 times. This. And when we calculated for a year, it was a lot, about 200. And they said, we don't even know where we get the money from. Even the men who leave the money are not aware how much they are spending on kerosene. But when we made the calculations with them, it clicked their mind. So they started buying the solar lamps.
How are you seeing climate change manifesting in the communities that you work?
Oh. Now, because we work, it is a national organization. There are places like the central, we have to the west, we have the north. Of course, the north suffers more. In Nepi, Uganda, and all that, and all those. Many,
what are you seeing there in the north?
Those very long dry spells. And when it rains so badly that it runs away with all the soil, and all the plants are covered in water. The same thing when it is shining so hot, again the plants dry up. But before they could tell the stories, because we have all the levels of ages and the elders, they would say, but for us, we used to know exactly when the rains would come. But now you have just planted, then it is so hot. Or you have planted, then it rains so much. We cannot now tell. It is so hard for us to tell when to plant and when not to plant. So they are confused also. They say the changes are too much for us. And when they talk, you can also notice almost nothing you can see as food or what. You feel so touched. But those people who have lived for long would just say, we knew that this matters and this, and this and this. And we know the actual activities for agriculture, actual activities for farming and all that, because we know the season, but not now.
In thinking through these 5 areas that you've spoken about, so improve stoves and kitchen energy management, improve wood burning industries, improve charcoal production, encourage alternative fuel and tree planting. How are we doing?
We are struggling a lot to see the implementation of those kind of things, but we are also being attacked by the people destroying the environment at a very, very high rate. So, even if you tell people that plant trees, they say, but the government people are cutting all those trees. You know, when they say that, you start looking like, I don't know, what do you say next to such people? Why do they cut? As you are telling us to plant, why? You know. And sometimes I was in Kalangal and they were mentioning a person from Makerere University, from the Forestry Department. They knew the name, and I knew the name. The ministries, foresters, people concerned, I think they are not doing the work to help the people. I have given you an example. When you train, we get money for a 3 years project. It ends. Why shouldn't the district go on helping the people when they have the right staff doing that? Eh? They have land. Why don't they show people that now the district has this forest here, or woodlot here?
If it's not working, your intentional You are intentionally seeking out the district people and saying, this is what we are doing, how do you take it forward when our project closes? Are you trying new avenues?
New avenues. What we did, we went to the Ministry of Water and Environment and we told them, please, you are higher, bigger than these people. Could you help also to monitor our project with them? We request you to see that you push them hard to see that the projects, whether JIP or any other organization, done in the communities in your district, you ministry follow up the district people. What are they doing? But the people said we have regional people, like we work in the Germany and maybe somebody in the north or leader is in charge of that. But how much can he do? Anyway.
A lot of the work that you're doing is on energy solutions.
Both right? Energy and tree planting.
Okay.
And, and more at the center, JIP,
How easy is it for the communities to take on these energy solutions that you share with them? Yes, speaking through sustainability, but also the costs.
When we talk of the costs, because these local stoves, those are free of charge, They use the soil, the artificial soil, they use the grass, they use their lakes, they use the water. They only apply the skills we have, imparted on them. So those are free. But what we have noticed, say a few years back, maybe 3 or 5 years, is when we started working with Save the Children as partners, but funded by European Union in those areas of refugees, those districts, Yadongo, Ajumani, whatever, all those, Arua, yes. What the European Union money accepted was to give cash for work. And that has boomed the dissemination of the technologies. Because when Josephine learns how to make a stove, she would go and teach another, she would build another, she would make it. So she goes, because every stove, every basket, she's given some money.
For making the stove or for teaching somebody?
For making the stove, and they can count the stoves. If you have made about 10 or 12, you get money for that, or the basket. Something we have never got in our programs for so many years. So our efforts have been going to people, encouraging them, sweet talk, encouraging, you've done so well, can you help others, But you can imagine the person living at home, especially women, to go and teach other people, coming back without any penny, any coin. It is not easy. So the speed is so low.
So you have stoves. I also know that you do something around refrigerators.
Yes, or the local, where you use charcoal, or where you use a pot, a clay pot, which can also, it can keep things cold. There's a way you make it and put water around, which keeps the inside cool, and they can use it for other types.
Why should our listeners care about climate change?
It is kind of not very easy, not straightforward. They suffer, they wonder, and they don't know whom to ask. They should be informed about it very, very seriously. The government used to talk a lot about AIDS. A lot was done. That kind of awareness and emphasis should be the same with these issues. They have free airtime over radio. They have free airtime over television. They have vehicles to move to the people. Like when they are doing campaigns, they reach every person. It can be done the same way. NGOs alone, with limited resources, we can't do so much. Although we try hard, it is hard. You have vehicles, the roads are so bad, the vehicles are broken, you have to sleep in the community, you have to find where to sleep, you sleep in kind of, funny places because you're economizing on the money, the staff you are giving money, they want to take some home, so they sleep in cheap but not a very comfortable place, and they have to work to move,
Where
Yes.
there's one slipper that's blue and another one that's red.
Exactly.
So my question is, for people who climate change seems very far removed from them, like it's not really my business. I'm not a farmer. I'm not, I'm here in Kampala sitting
Yes.
in an air-conditioned room. This conversation on climate change, why should it be my business?
I think that is the very narrow way of thinking. This person does not even think about where she or he comes from in the village, because she's here in Kampala. But still in Kampala, also the environment is poor, is bad. This is the person who doesn't know that from the room like this, you go out and the air is polluted everywhere, and maybe doesn't know even the pollution is coming from where, or he knows, but says, it's the government. The industries are being put up with a lot of smoke. The water is flowing over the roofs, nothing is harvested, and when it rains it's terrible, all the water is flooding. If it is in the community, the soil is going. So these things have to be, people have to be informed and eventually have to be forced to apply the right practices.
Thank you very much, Ruth.